Well, greetings and welcome to another episode of Lightbulb Moments, episode number 187. Thanks for joining us today, whether you're joining us live or whether you're listening to us on the podcast or tuning into the YouTube. We're glad you're with us. We have three precious currencies in life: attention, time, and money. And thanks for spending your precious A&T with us, attention and time. Lightbulb Moments is sponsored by Cunity, and also we're pleased to welcome Zenoti and Lightheart Sanders as sponsors of this forum. Thanks to both of those partners for being great partners and for helping to sponsor this forum. This is episode number 187, according to JP. I'm losing track of this. And today we are going to have a special guest, which I'll welcome to the mic and the camera in a moment. But before we get started, we do have coming up in about 4 weeks here, the Phil, our 4th annual Phil conference. And our guest today will be at the Phil. And I was on with JP a little bit earlier today, and I'm like, JP, why are you excited about the Phil? Or why are you excited about getting other people excited about the Phil? And I had already jotted down a few notes here. And I think first and foremost, it's just great content. And I think the content comes from just some incredible presenters. It's very, very unique format to have a partnership with the University of Texas, which is a top 20 university in the country, maybe even the world, when it comes to their business school. And we have with us members of the Texas Executive Education, which is part of the McComb School of Business, and we're going to feature one of those as a guest today. So this is unparalleled type speakers and content. All of these speakers have written books. They're experienced in working with Fortune 500 companies and small micro businesses and everything in between. So we also have a very unique format with a live podcast happening, Two Guys on Your Head, which is going to happen on Tuesday morning. So certainly it's the content. It's also the community. It's an amazing community that comes together for the Phil. It's a community of our clients, our friends, our partners, and also just local Austinites that we've gotten to know through the years. And so certainly the community and who's in the room is a big feature to it. Now, JP, what did she add to it? She said she feels that everybody feels valued, seen, and heard. And I think that's because JP and our team does an incredible job of making people feel that way. Also, it's a great opportunity to see what resources are out there. We've got a great expo with certain vetted partners that are going to be there, some of the best tech companies in the world. It's also an opportunity to just get out of your bubble, and get out of your bubble is important. And remember, the reason that we created the Phil was to get away from the day-to-day, fill your bucket, and also fill the gaps in your business. So anyway, we're super excited about that. And on that note, let me read a little bit about our guest today, who is Shana Merlin, who's an improv expert and communication coach. Improv, that's cool. Nationally recognized improv performer and educator, Shana Merlin brings over 2 decades of expertise to the Phil. After discovering her passion for improvisation in 1995, Shana transformed from a struggling beginner to an award-winning performer, earning Best Improv Teacher and Best Female Improviser accolades. My goodness. As founder of Merlin Works in 2003, Shana delivers customized training to prestigious clients, including Dell, T-Mobile, Deloitte, and Cunity. Her specialized programs enhance team building, communication, leadership, and creativity, skills essential for salon success. Based at Austin's Zach Theater. I remember passing by Zach Theater. Shana continues performing while training professionals across Texas. Her unique background includes work with Texas A&M University's College of Medicine and UT's Center for Health Communication, giving her exceptional insight into client relationships and effective staff interactions, bringing Shana's transformative approach to your salon team and watch your business thrive. Shana, why don't you join us here? Good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Shana, this is a perfect opportunity for you to do a little improv, okay? While I'm
Yeah,
figuring this out. So go for it, okay?
sure. No problem. I'll keep talking and that way you'll know the audio is working and figure out your stuff. So, um, what what I like to talk about in improv is that mistakes are inevitable. Mistakes are actually gifts in improv. And so as much as we want to prepare and plan and strategize, mistakes, failures, unexpected things will always come up. And so the question is, how are you going to deal with those things? And what we practice in improv is the ability to make friends with mistakes, makes friends with the unexpected, accept it, welcome it, try and find what might be delightful or interesting about it, get curious about it, acknowledge it and roll with it. And that really helps us succeed in the long term, just like anybody who's doing sales, who's running a business, you're always trying things and seeing how it goes. And the faster you can recover and be resilient and bounce back from those mistakes, the more success you're going to have long term. So, everybody gets it. There's hiccups on Zoom that happens all the time. What we want to do is we just want to make sure that we can laugh it off, let it go, get back into the moment, get into connection with each other, and have a good rest of our podcast. We don't want to let us spiral out where we're thinking and dwelling about the past, what woulda, shoulda, coulda things, right? We don't want to do that while we're recording the podcast. Maybe there's time to do that later. And we also don't want to be always thinking ahead about what we're going to do and how we're going to prevent, future mistakes. What we want to do when we're in that team meeting, when we're at that presentation, when we're with our client, when we're on the podcast, we want to be present and in the moment. So we just kind of focus on what's happening now, trust ourselves that whatever obstacles come up, we will figure it out and deal with it. And when we free our minds up and we're not worried about the past and the present all the time, worrying about the past, that's where depression is. Worrying about the future, that's where anxiety is. We free our brains up to be present in the moment. And when we do that, we start to take in a lot more information. And oftentimes, the most important information is what is happening here in the moment with the person you're trying to connect with, your team member, your client, your colleague. And we spend so much time, we talk about in improv, we get in our heads. We get in our heads thinking about our mistakes and failures, and that takes us out of the moment. But when we can relax and come back to the moment, make friends with failure, trust ourselves to deal with the mistakes and bumps that will come, it kind of frees us up to be a little more present and in the moment, seeing things that others miss, and yeah, and also just kind of enjoying life a little bit more.
Okay, got it. Well, I think what we have today is we have the reality that I don't have camera.
Okay.
So this is one of those unscripted improv moments that could not have been more perfect in terms of an episode. So
Um, okay. So is that good? Do you want to do any do you want to just keep going forward? Does that work for you doing a camera free, or do you want to
I
like
think
log out,
I
log back
think
in, or anything like that?
I think the spirit of the moment is to improv and to go cameraless for Tom. So it's just you today. It's just my headshot, and we're gonna keep going. Okay.
I'll take it. I'm on camera. This is my moment. It's all me.
So the whole idea of improv, honestly, it almost for certain people it can create almost a little bit of angst, like I'm okay getting up in front of a bunch of people, not even, even spontaneously, talking about something I'm comfortable with. But the whole idea, for example, like comedy, getting in front of a group of people who are all staring at you and they're ready to judge you to be funny or not. You've
Right.
lived that world. I mean,
Yeah.
it just sounds terrifying to me.
Yeah, well, so, yeah, a lot of people like, you mentioned improv 4 or 5 times and their, pulse starts to rise and they get really anxious about being put on the spot, and that's totally normal and human. I probably, I'm an outlier in that I enjoy so much improv, but here's a little reframe I like to do when I describe what I do. I work with a group of people. We don't have enough time, we don't have enough information, we don't have enough resources. We have to work as a team and produce successful public results. When I describe improv like that, it also probably sounds like your job, right? Running a salon, running a nail place, like it's running a software business, right? This is what all our lives are like. We're all working without enough time, information, and resources, and we all have to work in teams. And for many people, that sounds like a very stressful situation, but for me, it's a really fun situation because I know all the secrets and tools and tricks from the world of improvisational theater. So what I'm going to do at the Phil when I lead my improv skills for work and life session is I'm not going to be teaching people how to tell jokes and be funny, although that's a wonderful thing to do. And that's what I do in my improv school here in Austin. But what I'm going to be doing is applied improv. So using the tools and techniques from the world of improvisational theater to help people be more present, more in the moment, better communicators, better collaborators, better leaders, that kind of thing.
All right, so put me on the spot with a little improv. You have a little like word game here. Let's
Okay.
do it. This is unscripted, but I at least know a little bit about what we're going to do with this word game. So let's put me on the spot here. I'll be
Fantastic.
vulnerable today.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Tom. Um, so improv, if you might have done it, seen Whose Line Is It Anyway, or Curb Your Enthusiasm. These are like improv, classic improv TV shows. Maybe you've seen improv live in your home community. It's unscripted scenes and games made up on the spot, inspired by audience suggestions. So Tom and I are going to play a classic improv game called First Letter, Last Letter, to help us be a little more spontaneous and be a little bit of better listeners. So the rule of the game is Tom's going to start a conversation with me, and the last letter of whatever he says is going to become the first letter of my response. And the last letter of my response is going to become the first letter of his response. And we'll go nice and slow and like say our letters out loud until we get the hang of it. And then we might pick up the pace a little bit. So Tom, I'm going to let you start the conversation, and we'll jump into this first letter, last letter game.
Shana, I'm sorry that I'm not on camera today, but we're super excited to have you and your esteemed colleagues at the Phil.
Let me tell you, I did get to see you before we started, and I really wanted to compliment your blue glasses. I thought they looked really sharp. So that ends with the letter P. So Tom's response is going to begin with the letter P. You can hear the gears turning.
Pause is what I was just led to do. It took me a little pause. I don't know why the P threw me, but okay, there you have it.
Tell me about what was your favorite time from a past Phil event.
The last Phil, I think Galen Paulson, who is he's actually the executive director, and he's coming back this year. He did this amazing workshop with this thing called like a sugar bowl that was really compelling.
Good. I'm interested in what this sugar bowl might symbolize or be a metaphor for. Uh, Tell me more.
Every single part of my body was fighting leaving the room because I needed to be in another room. But so I had to prioritize my time.
Exactly. So important.
Tick, 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 tick.
Okay, we'll stop there. Excellent. Everybody give virtual applause or real
Okay, all right.
for doing this improv game with
Boy, I
me.
froze a couple times. I froze on the P and the T. I don't know what it was, but All right. Well, let's keep moving here.
Well, let's tell me about your experience playing that game. What's hard about it? What's easy about it? What is it? How does it change how you normally have conversations?
I think it was a little easy. It might be a little easier when you're not like being recorded live and have a bunch of people present. So it feels a little bit pressured, I guess, maybe a little bit, but also it's light and it's amusing and it causes a little bit of, I don't know, mental stimulation for me.
Yeah, you could feel kind of your brain stretching a little bit. That game has a couple really interesting challenges. So one is like you get a letter like P and you have to problem solve like what word starts with P that keeps the conversation going. And so this is part of improv called Jump and Justify, where something unexpected is added and you have to kind of roll with it, incorporate it, make it work, right? And then the second piece is that you have to listen all the way until the person is done talking before you know what letter you've got to use. So, like many improv games, this disrupts verbal planning. You're not thinking ahead, you're just staying in the moment and listening fully. And for many of us, that's a very unfamiliar feeling. We're used to kind of getting the gist of what someone's saying and thinking ahead about what we want to say. So, it's a quick game, that's a fun game, but it's actually, I like to say, it's a pocket game. You can play it anytime secretly when you find your mind wandering or you want to get really present for a big moment. Play just a few lines of first letter, last letter. Don't do a whole conversation like that. It'll get weird. But just a few moments can help you kind of slow down, tune into the moment. That's a lot of the counterintuitive tools of improv is a lot about slowing down to speed up.
So to me, the only thing that's certain these days is uncertainty.
Right.
And it's not a traditional route to think about ways to deal with uncertainty, to be thinking about improvisation, but that's really what it is, isn't it? I mean, we're improvising as the conditions change and staying in the moment. So I'm really, it's not that I'm warming up to the concept, but it took me a little bit to link between like improv and how that really affects the workplace. So and leadership. Talk about that a
Right.
little bit.
Yeah, in some ways, on the surface, you think improv, that's the opposite of what leaders do, right? Leaders have a vision and they have a strategy and they have a plan, and all those things are true. Uh, and improv, I find, is this underlying fundamental skill for almost anything that you want to achieve. So if you want to be a better leader, you need to be authentic and be present and see what's going on in your organization for every conversation, for every interaction. So these improv tools are really, relating skills, life skills. So yeah, it's funny. I mean, the joke is right. Every day is unprecedented times these days, right? It's all unprecedented. And a lot of times when most of us, when we're put in a uncertain, chaotic, volatile situation, people go into two modes. They go into control mode, just trying to control everything they can, um, and take charge and hold tight. Or we go into collapse mode, where we kind of just give up and wave the white flag and just say, I can't do it. And what improv offers us is a third route, which is curiosity and creativity of like, huh, let me look at this moment with curiosity, which is kind of about removing judgment. That's one of the things that improvisers are really good at. They just see things as they are, not as good or bad or with judgment. And that way you can see more things. And then creativity, like what is this an opportunity for? What new things could emerge from that? So these are really, we say in improv, hold on tightly, let go lightly. And I'm sure a lot of business owners and leaders and managers have had that experience of holding on too tightly for too long to what they thought was going to happen or woulda, shoulda, coulda. And the faster you can accept what is and adjust, the 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 better things are going to turn out. It's always a losing battle when you fight reality.
So, part of your workshop, which is called, it's on Tuesday, and it's improv for work and life.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things is think faster and communicate better in high pressure situations, turn challenges into opportunities with confidence and ease, and build stronger, more engaged teams through trust and collaboration.
Mm.
You want to comment on any of those?
That sounds like a great workshop. I can't wait to.
I know, I can't wait. Yeah.
What what I think really distinguishes my workshops is that they're very hands-on and interactive. So I believe communication skills, leadership skills can't be learned simply from a lecture, simply from a book. You have to have time to practice, to embody. And so, like we did our first letter, last letter activity, the game itself, the activities teach you something about yourself, whether it's humbling and like, oh, I have something to learn here. This is harder, I think. Or, oh, this is a different way of being. What would it be like to be this way more often? So we're gonna even, it's gonna be, it's gonna be have 5 or 6 different activities. Some activities we're gonna play solo activities, some all play, some with partners, and we really get people laughing and playing. And when you start to do that, people start to drop their armor and connect in really authentic ways and just learn to be in a different way. I always say we spend a lot of time acting like we know exactly what's going on, and that's such a relief to let that go and know that we're all kind of making it up as we go, and let's be real and let's connect and let's play and let's laugh um and then the learning really just like sneaks in the back door. So I know it can sound silly, but at the same time, this is the training I've done with at the medical school at UT, at the business school at UT, at the athletic department at UT. So a lot of organizations find a lot of value in this kind of work. It will stick with you. People years later will be like, I remember that yes and game or that first letter, last letter thing.
Well, and I mean, I used the example of uh, Galen Paulson, and something that stuck with me. I'm talking about a year later, and I'll be talking about another year. And I think that's what people are really looking for. Is they're looking for something that sticks, something memorable. And I think what you're talking about sounds very memorable. And since you're Tuesday, I think I can sit in because I think I'm teaching workshops on Monday. So I'm super excited to be part of it. You mentioned that you work with a lot of medical professionals.
Mhm.
That seems to me to be a bit of a stretch.
I like your honesty, Tom.
Well, well, that didn't come out right, did it? You know what I meant. I mean, it's,
Yeah, no.
help connect the dots for us. I mean, I'm just
Right.
imagining my son-in-law who's an MD and he works in a research lab and stuff. And how would this really apply to medical professionals?
Right. So, if you want to know my whole spiel, you can go to my TEDx talk, Why Your Doctor Should Be an Improviser. But, let me be, when I'm talking about improv is a lot about taking risks. And that big risk is being present in the moment. And so I have to be really clear when I'm talking about medical professionals, what risks I want them to take and what risks I do not want them to take. So I'm not talking about the high stakes risks. What happens on when you are prescribing? What if I do this dosage? That's not it. What if I am in surgery? What if I did this cut? That's not the kind of risk that I'm talking about, obviously. But at the same time, if you had were having surgery and your surgeon you want them to be follow all the protocols, the safety, the cleanliness, all this stuff. They have their surgical plan. They open you up and something unexpected is there. That's when you want someone with some improv skills. You don't want someone who's holding on to a past plan that is now obsolete. You want them to be able to see what is, take in that information, make a new plan in the moment, communicate that to their team in the moment. And that kind of improvising as a medical professional also happens almost in every patient interaction. Doctors tell me that going in every kind of exam room is kind of almost like a acting performance, right? They find out what that scene is going to be, who's the other person, and what's going to happen. And what I found, hey, I see you. Welcome back.
Surprise.
What I found working so much with medical professionals is basically everything in their environment, and maybe this is true for your members as well, everything in their environment is taking them out of the moment. They've got the medical records on the TV screen, they've got 10 other patients and the insurance and the billing and the whatever, and it's very hard to just be present with the person in front of you. But the number one patient complaint is not that I waited too long or I didn't get the outcome I wanted or I didn't get the treatment I wanted. It's that I wasn't heard. Um, and when you can really hear people, it's going to be great for that patient and that patient satisfaction, but it's also going to be great for you as a practitioner because you're going to have a much more enjoyable day instead of just visiting with diabetes in room 2 and a hypertension in room 4. You're connecting with real people, and that's kind of a way to fill your cup.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I figured that it had to do with, certainly the human interaction that comes in the field, and it's not something that someone would learn in medical school. So I totally understand why that could be relevant to that profession. You also mentioned athletes. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, well, one thing it was that you were making me think of is that another part of the medical training is where we talk about distilling your message. So learning medicine is like learning a foreign language. And then oftentimes doctors talk to patients in ways that patients can't understand them. And I'm wondering if that might be true in your industry as well. Sometimes I feel that I know nothing about, you know, hair and all that stuff. And a lot of times my stylist will ask me a question. Do you like this or that? She'll give me this jargon. She's like, do you want TZ lights or biolog? And I'm like, you're gonna have to.
It's Greek to me.
Yeah. And so that ability to get out of your head and speaking the jargon that and getting into the moment and talking in the way that that person understands you is really important because I don't think about it because it's really vulnerable to be in the chair and you're like, it's just like being patients are really vulnerable. So they're having an even harder time listening than usual and comprehending. So it's like if you can kind of go above and beyond, the more you know. So it's something we talk about, the curse of knowledge. The more you know about a topic, the more work you have to do to communicate to a lay person clearly about it. So I think that's
Would you
interesting.
call that the curse of JP? That's a light bulb moment there. Curse of knowledge. Is that what you called
Curse
it?
of knowledge. Yeah. So
I
the curse
learned.
of knowledge is when I think you know what I know, and I talk to you in ways where you can't understand me.
Yeah.
So this is why Nobel Prize winning scientists get horrible ratings as professors because they
Mm.
can't imagine what it's like to not understand the material. Often the best teachers are ones that have struggled with the material themselves because they understand that. So when I teach about overcoming the curse of knowledge, the top tips I give are ask questions to find common ground, know where to start your explanation. So oftentimes when I'm talking to you, we had our first conversation. I say, "Tell me what you know about improv. Like, have you ever done it? Have you seen it? What do you know?" And that lets me know where to start the conversation, right? Um, Two, we want to reduce jargon, use simple everyday language. And three, we want to start with the headline. What is the main idea we're trying to communicate before we get into all the details? Those are a couple of my top tips for breaking the curse of knowledge, and it helps you kind of slow down. And this is a big part of improv is putting the other person at the front of the top of your mind. Can I ask you a question, Tom?
Please.
Because you said this is a light bulb moment, and that's the name of this show is light bulb moments, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm very interested in light bulb moments, but so I'm curious about why is the show called that? What does that mean to you?
Oh, I also have a collection of light bulbs over my
Oh,
shoulder
neat.
there. All right. And one of them, spoiler alert, one of them is going to go to you. And right where my thumb is, those of you that are just listening to the podcast can't see this, of course, but is where the golden light bulb is. And we award 2 golden light bulbs every year. You know, it actually started out as a financial roundtable, but it really migrated away from that into a forum that was more about the concept of light bulb moments, which to me is an inspiration. It's an idea. And, you know, you think of the Bruce Springsteen line, you can't start a fire without a spark.
Mm.
And, you know, sometimes a spark is necessary in order to get you off the dime, you know, a spark that might come from going to improv workshop at the Phil, you know. And so it really was in this forum to really identify, to have moments like we have with you, where we can inspire our guests into, you know, something that might inspire them to do something even greater than they've already done. So,
I like that. I'm very, I actually, because I work a lot with medical professionals and scientists, and I'm interested in where insights come from, those aha moments. And often it's connecting um, unrelated or unexpected things, putting them together in a unique way is often like that aha moment. Um, yeah, I think it's yeah, that's
I
interesting.
also think I also think that photography is a
Mm,
great example of light bulb moments. You know, you just have this moment. In fact, I did an artistic collection called Shadow Man that was finding light, and it was essentially about taking pictures of moments where there was great light and your shadow happened to be projected in that. And I think that photography, and at the Phil on Sunday night, we have a celebration of light bulb moments, a black and white night, and it was inspired by black and white photography. So photography also is a great forum for that quick, that snapshot,
mm.
that moment in time to get captured forever. Right now, photography has become a commodity right now because it's been what's the right word? It's been demystified with, you know, this technology. But anyway, I digress. But that was also part of the inspiration behind the light bulb moments, is to understand it's going to come from an idea, but it also could come from just a moment in time that's captured visually. So,
You know what that makes me think of is how, for me, a lot of light bulb moments, it's not just the first time I hear a new idea. It's like I have to meet that moment. It's like I heard that idea and I was ready to hear that idea. And I heard
yeah.
it in the right way. Because oftentimes those light bulb moments are very obvious in some, like once you get it, you're like, that's the most obvious thing. But I needed to be in the right place, in the right headspace, and hear it the right way. And then it's like, yeah, everything changes.
Well, I'm watching the clock here, and I want to ask, I want to go to athletes for a moment,
Oh
okay?
yeah,
And
sorry. Thank
you
you. Thank you
actually
for letting me
said you worked
digress.
with a bunch of mascots. Tell us about that.
That was very fun. So I got to do uh improv skills and team building training for all the NBA mascots. So they all every summer get together and have their own conference. Not in their uniforms, just as regular people. And but these people are some of the best improvisers I've ever seen. I mean, they don't have any improv training the way I think about it, but they, without words, command stadiums full of people and do all this crowd interaction. I mean, and so, we do, I often do a warm up where you'll get in pairs and do a secret handshake with your partner. And it's usually, clap, snap, whatever, woo, something like that. And these people were doing backflips and slides and all this. By the end, I was like, can I join y'all's improv troupe? Are amazing. So that their athleticism, the creativity, the freedom, um, just stunning, stunning work. Chef's kiss.
Well, Shana, this has been a great conversation, of which half of it we were able, 2/3 of it we weren't able to see each other, but truly in the spirit of improv, there could not have been a better episode of Lightbulb Moments for me to be off camera, probably in the first time in 187 episodes. But anyway, let's everybody give Shana a virtual round of applause. Shana, thanks for joining us today. We're so excited to have you with us in 4 short weeks here. You will be receiving a $1 million light bulb. There you go.
All right.
Which makes you a member of our brain trust. So that should be coming your way. So you're going to have your own light bulb, and you can put it over your shoulder somewhere, or somewhere behind you in your background. And maybe that might inspire you someday. So thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been super fun. Thank you for rolling with the unexpected. And I'm so excited to see everybody in Austin in a few weeks and welcome you to my hometown.
All right, very good. Thanks for joining us, everybody, today for another episode of Lightbulb Moments. Wonderful guest, Shana. And shout out to, again, our sponsors and our team for making this forum available. And pardon my technology difficulties today. All the best, everybody. Thanks much.